This meeting is being recorded.
Give my sound for that. Hey. All right, so Ian's just joined us. So, Ian, we're on day 13, union with the spacious self. I'll start down with, I don't feel like reading first today, so we'll start off with Alison. You show us a good example.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. My voice is a bit croaky, so I might have to stop. But anyway,
That's all right.
day 13, union with the spacious self.
Mm.
Hmm. Once the one self became form and knew its self, it knew separate thought. It knew separate thought. The separate thoughts of the one self rather than the form of the one self allowed for the knowing of the self that created the many selves.
Yes. Beautiful. That's that thing when you disconnect from feeling, then everything becomes fragmented because there is no oneness,
Mm.
but it's a manyness.
Uh,
Sharon didn't leave.
yeah.
She doesn't like your reading, Alison. She said she might have trouble with her internet today.
Who's that? What?
Sharon didn't leave because of your reading. She just said she might have trouble with her internet today.
Okay, all right. The many selves who have come and gone since the beginning of time now know themselves as the many and the one, the individual and the collective. This is the knowing in relationship that is available to you now. The one self of form, the one self of form is the self you were born into. The one self of form comes to know the one self through relationship with other selves, experiencing oneness through being selves of form. It's all a bit gobbledygook to me today.
That's okay. He will explain it all later.
You are thus not meant to lose the experience of the self of form, but to integrate it so that you are both the many and the one. The oneness that your individual self represents in this life is the oneness of the Holy One, who is both one, somewhat in the way you think of the individual self, and all. The love that is found in the relationships of the one self with the many is the love of God. There is no other love. God's love is constantly being given, received, and felt in relationship. God's love is your love. Your love is the love of God. God is love.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Let's take a little pause here. That's beautiful. Just feel that. Mm. 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 Beautiful. Sharon just sent a message that her computer crashed and she's got no Zoom on her phone. Okay, who's next?
Pamela, you in today? Hey, Alice,
Yeah.
Alice, day 13 in the 40 days and 40 nights in A Course of Love.
Try and read as slowly as possible.
Okay.
Thus is explained the relationships and the forms emptied of love.
Mm.
Where there is no love, there is no God present.
Mm.
Hmm. Where there is no love, there is a lack of godliness, or what you have defined as evil. A complete lack of love creates formidable obstacles, or in other words, obstacles of solid form that contain no spaciousness. Solid form is actually a void.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's big.
Wow.
A substance devoid of spaciousness, a form that is form only. I'd never thought about the void like that before.
No. Mm.
These forms are still encompassed by the loving space of Christ consciousness, and thus are easily rendered ineffective. Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Forever in embrace.
Pardon?
Forever in the embrace.
Yeah.
So easy to forget.
Imagine the spacious self as an invisible self, capital S, a self whose form is transparent. Through this transparency, the reality of the one self being also the many or the all, is apparent. The spaciousness of love, the lovely complexity of form, the awesome majesty of nature, all are visible within the one self because of the invisibility of the one boundary-less self of form. All of creation is present and apparent in this boundary-less self of form. This self is everything and everyone, because it is everything and everyone, because it is everything and everyone, it is also the self of the void of the loveless self. So could that, to me, I'm thinking about times when I've been depressed in my life. So I've been in a void.
Mm.
The love is there, but it's not felt at times like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also because there is this quality, like when you depress, you have this unpleasant chemistry, and then you try to get rid of it. So it's like this pressure to the desire to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I know, yeah.
And then it's like a constant pressure, and sometimes you can be even like mildly frustrated and you don't want it, yet it's just reflecting your mind. It's reflecting that your mind is splitting. And then you put this
Yeah.
light pressure on it, and that's the separation because you're pushing against the self. That's just reflecting to you what your mind is doing. You see? That's why
Whereas if you just
allow it. Yeah, it's just if you could fully allow yourself to be depressed.
that's what I was going to say, just sink into it and be with it.
Yes, like step back, stop the pressure, and then it will expand itself. And we thought,
That's
oh,
right.
but who wants to expand the depression? Well, you want expand it. You will release it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
It gives it room to move.
Yes, and when it moves,
Oh,
it's life again. You see, it's the life again because it's moving. It's no longer compressed, depressed. You see, depression is what? You're depressing a self. Yeah. You go again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And because we called it negative, like depression's like a negative feeling, we split ourselves into two camps. You, the good one, and it's the bad one. And then there is that conflict there.
Yeah, we judge it.
We judge it. We make it form, really. It becomes form.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk around
Yeah.
with
I, I
the stone
find,
face.
well, remember we looked at the idea of an access point to our feeling. We looked at that a
Mm-hmm.
few chapters back, few page, yeah, and I just find that when I am in that unpleasant, in an unpleasant experience, if I remember that access point and just try and open that,
Mm-hmm.
it just allows a pass through.
Yes. Yes. Also helps to remember love in that moment. There's a time where,
Well, that is what you're accessing in that
yes,
moment.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're accessing God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will I continue?
Yes, please.
because it is everything and
Hang on, where are
everyone.
you?
Oh, I've said that already.
Yeah,
Doesn't
sorry.
matter.
As long as the void of the loveless self exists within the spacious self, they exist in harmony. That's just what we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
It is only in attempting to eject the loveless self from the spacious self that disharmony occurs.
Right.
Yeah. I can so relate to this. Well, I'm sure that lots of us can relate to it. It's just so nice to read something that you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thus, holding the loveless self within the spacious self of love
Mm-hmm.
is the answer to the question of evil and the final lifting of the last veils of fear.
Beautiful.
I just feel like letting out a huge sigh.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The same is true of all you would fear, such as the suffering self. A suffering self held within the spacious self exists in harmony with the spacious self. Attempts to eject the self of suffering from the spacious self create disharmony.
Mm-hmm.
It is only by this holding within that the loveless self and the suffering self are rendered ineffective. It is only in this way that you realize that all exists within. It is only in this way that you become completely fearless and totally spacious.
Mm-hmm.
For fear is part of the destiny of form.
Density.
Being density, sorry, I meant to say density, of form, being a lack of love. When
Really.
when I think about fear, it really is nothing.
When you think about it, when you're feeling it.
When you're feeling it, it's a different story, Kim. It's all in, it completely overwhelms you. Yeah.
That's it. That's why we cut out the feeling so we don't have to feel. You have to experience fear, huh?
Yeah.
That's why we numb feelings. And then
Yeah.
we can't create because, that part of us that creates is more feeling than anything else. The mind inspires, but feelings is the one that gives it a manifestation, gives it an expression. So even an inspiring idea that is not deeply felt through expression or expressed through feeling kind of dies.
I was noticing this morning because I read aloud to myself when I'm doing my reading in the morning. And I just like I've let go of a lot of fear, but I notice when I'm reading, there's a tendency to just skip over some words by just going quickly. And it's one of the reasons why I've started to really, really slow down with my reading because I notice actually underlying that skipping those, just not stopping long enough is a panic.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Mm.
subtle, but it is a panic in me. It is very subtle. So anyway, it's quite an interesting thing. So I can see when I slow down, the way for me to not experience that panic, to go through it, is to slow right down.
That's it.
That
And
makes
then you do
sense.
get to the feeling, like you said, like you've told us, Cole, time and time
Yes.
again, you do get feeling that way.
And where I learned it from? I learned it from A Course in Miracles. Because if you
Yeah.
look at first 50 lessons, I know on a lot of people did the Course in Miracles. I know some don't, so I just say that for those who've had the experience, first 50 lessons, almost every lesson he tells you now, close your eyes, slow down, repeat the lesson to yourself slowly, and now even slower, because when you slow down, the feeling realm has a chance to manifest what you're saying. See? He
Yeah.
Hmm.
doesn't tell you to feel it, although he does. He does it this way: slow down, take time out, let the world go for a moment, and just repeat these words so they become flesh. So they become, they reverberate the density. So it's really the key
Mm.
to it all. Because mentally you can build a whole separate kingdom based on speed.
Yeah.
Based on speed and perceptual expressions and explanation of A Course of Miracles or Course of Love or whatever, but you just become like a mentalized, it becomes like a mentalized diarrhea that looks hard,
Yeah.
you know.
Another thing that I've noticed, speaking about slowing down with reading, and that's, thank you for saying that, Alison. I'll take that on board when I'm doing my lessons daily.
Yeah.
When I'm out walking, when I deliberately choose to walk really slowly, I experience so much more.
Bingo.
Mm.
And I have what I'll describe as chance, but nothing's by chance, interactions with people that I would have missed had I been walking fast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
must
The
walk pretty
whole,
fast.
pardon?
I said, you must walk pretty fast. You're
I
missing
do.
people.
I do walk fast, but I deliberately walk slow. It's a whole different experience.
Yes.
But
And
it's an interesting thing, though, isn't it? Our life, like, like life in the world generally, is like has sped up and sped up and sped up.
mhm.
And
Mhm.
I noticed even just something like walking through town instead of driving through town is a completely different experience. I discover new places. I actually feel you're right, and if I slowed it down even more, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, it was one of Paulo Coelho's books that I read. I've read a few of them, and yeah, that's where I first. He
Mm.
talked about what he talked about reducing your walking speed to half what it would normally be, like
Yes.
speedways. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to try.
It is, and the Tai Chi and Qigong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all just that you slow down so much that
yeah,
your feeling self begins to flow within you. Like sometimes I just
yeah,
do one thing and I was like, oh, it's like a shower of love just pours through. It's no longer some
mm,
kind of exercise. It's that slowness that ignites this golden experience within that becomes so nurturing and so connective. Yes, next minute you're one
yeah. You're
with everything.
feeling the energy. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. All right, shall we do the last
Okay.
paragraph?
Yeah. Once fear is gone, true relationship is not only possible
Mhm.
but inevitable.
Yes.
True relationship exists naturally in the state of harmony that is the spacious self. This is the state of union.
Beautiful. Wow, these are also short.
Mm.
Shall we jump straight onto the day 14?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, when you're slowing down, when you're walking and you're feeling all this stuff, imagine if you start walking backwards. It's like you'd be closing the gap on separation. You'd be going backwards back to joining with God.
It depends
Well,
on
you
how
just
far.
be careful you don't have an accident.
You return to your original self. You come
I
back.
had a dream.
Yes.
I had a dream last night that I think I made sense of. I don't always try to make sense of my dreams because some of them are so bizarre. But I'm reversing in this car at quite a speed and I'm putting the brakes on really hard and I do get the car braked. And my interpretation of it was I'm putting the brakes on, keeping looking at the past. Because I have a tendency to keep going back to the past and dredging it up and dredging it up and oh, I shouldn't have done this and oh, remorse, and I'm getting a bit fed up with it now. So I took it to mean I'm just putting the brakes on, going backwards the whole time. I don't know what relevance that is to anything, but I just thought I'd share it.
There you go, Kevin.
Ask and you shall receive. So, shall we dive into healing?
Yep,
Yeah.
Cole, little shot.
Is it me?
Cole? Yep.
All healing. Oh, no, sorry. Healing. All time is included in the spacious self. Acceptance is necessary because escape is not possible. Ding, right there. Everything that is within us.
With us.
With us.
With us, is with us. Oh, yes, is with us. Which is why we are the accomplished as well as the void. Right. The healed as well as sick, the chaos and the peace. Thus we heal now by calling on wholeness, accepting the healed self's ability to be chosen while not encountering resistance or any attempts at rejection of the sick or wounded self. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, this is big. It is your acceptance that escape is not possible that will lead you out of forgetfulness to remembrance. It is in the equality of all that is realized that the acceptance of the spacious self, the one self, and the many, the full acceptance is actually achieved and a complete transformation begin. Sorry guys, I can't read any further. My brain's weird.
Kim, you're next.
Oh, okay. The spacious self realizes that the outer world is a projection and most often a rejection rather than an extension of what is within. Thus, sickness is a rejection of feelings. All that causes fear is rejection of feelings. All that causes fear is rejection of feelings. All that causes loneliness is rejection of feelings. All that causes violence is rejection of feelings. Whew. Yikes. What is ejected from the self becomes separate, and in the separation, willfully forgotten. The spacious self no longer ejects or forgets, because all feelings are accepted as those of the one self. All feelings are accepted as those of the many as well. It is by holding all feelings of others within the spacious self, by not forgetting that the one and the many are the same,
Wow.
by willfully remembering that the feelings of the many can be held and not projected into the world as sickness, violence, and so on, that acceptance occurs. It is in accepting all feelings as the feelings of the many that the feelings of others are accepted as one's own and held within the spaciousness of the one self, the whole self.
Wow, that's
Mm.
so good, huh?
Yeah, I've recently been sick, so it's very good. And I've never liked sick, and I've always rejected it. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The thing that comes up for me here is my thoughts about sickness I see outside of myself versus sickness I experience in myself. And
Mm.
I realize I actually have a lot of confusion over, how it all works. Feelings, willfully remembering the feelings of the many can be held
But
and not
Is it
project.
confusion or willfulness? Yes.
Mm.
well, I think there's a line somewhere in the Course of Love that says, sickness is denial of feelings. You deny
Mm.
a feeling, and then it begin to separate within. You deny it, so you push against it, but now you locked it in. So now now it's dying. It's getting sicker, and it's letting you know, hey,
Mm.
I'm dying here. And we go, oh, well, let's get some medications. But
Mm.
you're just getting the reflection of that denial of feeling. So when you feel sick, what's the feeling that comes with the sickness?
Mm.
What's the
I
feeling?
think that the key for me here is in accepting all feelings as the feelings of the many.
Yes.
Like as within, so without, we've been told so many times.
Mm,
It begins within. And
yeah,
I'm really interested in the healing of the world because the world is in a terrible state.
yes.
Like
Well, I'm clear when I hear about sick people, even like good friends or whatever. I don't want to know about it. Like, I just don't want to feel anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
right.
not. I just no. It's just I
The
can't.
feelings of others are accepted as one's own and held within the
Yeah,
spaciousness of the one self, the whole
yeah.
self. So it's like not putting at someone else's feelings as if they're not mine. They are mine.
They're yours.
Mm.
And the more that we can take that on and accept that, and the the greater the results we'll see, I guess. Like,
Well, this is what happens with the empaths. They feel, they go somewhere and they feel everything, but they can't handle it because they don't have acceptance for their own feeling. And now when they feel
yeah,
the town, they come home and they flood with this, and they go like, people are insane and people are this, but it's really just being unable. Empathy is just, for me, is a person who can't handle their own feelings because of the non-acceptance.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we start with the little things. Maybe you can't accept all feelings yet, but why don't you start with just the ones you can accept?
Mm.
That's where we begin. And eventually you'll be able to feel everything and not collapse, not reject it again.
I think key to it is accepting that those feelings that I've been putting out there as someone else's,
Yes.
that is me. That's in me.
And in
And
your,
it has to be addressed there, and that has to be where healing is.
that's where you can fix it. But when you put it out there, there's no way you can do it. That's why
Yeah,
savior of the world, because when you begin to accept yourself, your outer reality will shift.
yeah.
But it's also like with the thoughts, thinking that they're ours when they're just thoughts. It's the same with feelings then. Like they're there to be, you know, accepted, but they're not necessarily
Well,
ours.
with the thoughts, you also have to do certain release because you have certain beliefs that are insane.
Mm.
Yeah, you got to release judgments that
Yeah.
some of the beliefs you have are actually not even true while they're still running your life.
Mm.
That's why I was talking about perception in the last two.
Yes. Anyway, I get very excited when we talk about this subject, as you can see.
Mm. It has to be like what I'm getting is how personally, if we want, if I guess it comes to me, if I want this to work, I have to take it extremely personally. This is information for me to take and use and apply as well as I'm able to.
Hmm.
No pressure.
Yes.
It's the same when you feel it in others. It's the same when you feel it in other people.
Because where do you feel
Yeah,
that? You feel that in you,
Mm.
always in you.
yeah,
That projection that puts it out there and then
Yeah.
judges it.
yeah. I guess that's why we're told to pray for our enemies too,
Yes.
because we think they're outside ourselves and they're doing all this stuff and projecting hatred out onto them and all kinds of stuff. But where does it have to be dealt with? Right here,
Yeah.
right now.
Well, let's see what he says next.
Mm.
Mm. Whose turn next to read?
You finished that, Kim. Okay, it's
Yeah.
Alice, are you reading today?
Yeah, yeah, I can read. Is that 14.5?
Yep.
Yep.
Six.
No, we did
Oh,
get,
Five.
further,
It is five.
Oh, sorry.
yep, further. Yep.
further, it is in willful remembering that extension replaces rejection, both in the self and in others. Hmm. Extension of health can, in this way, replace rejection of illness and woundedness. Shall I keep reading? Uh,
Yep.
this is why, after learning to disclaim all that you have called your own, you are now given the task of claiming
Alice.
your path.
Too
Too
fast.
fast?
Yeah.
Mm.
Can you slow it
Yeah.
right down? Just from the beginning of
Okay,
46.
this is why,
Thank you.
after learning to disclaim all that you have called your own, you are now given the task of claiming your power as your own. All that is within your power is within your power. Your power is the power of the many and the one that exists in wholeness within the spacious
Wow.
self.
Mm.
Mm.
I have a question like, what about anxiety about people that I love dying? Is that empathy, or is that just, I think it's probably just
Sounds
obsession
like
or
fear
something.
to me. I mean, anxiety, fear. Fear is like the
Anxiety.
and the what you offer fear is love, like, to what do you call it? To neutralize fear. So
Did you say
I don't
fear
know. I mean, I don't
of
know.
other people that you know
Yeah.
dying? Maybe that's to do with your own fear of dying.
Yeah, other people,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah, but maybe it's
Mm.
your fear projected on, you know.
Mm.
I don't know. Just saying, maybe.
Yeah, it probably is. My own fear of dying.
Mm, possibly.
Mm,
Right? It's as within, so without.
mm. Sorry, was that off the subject?
No, it was on.
Shall I keep reading or is someone
No.
else going to read?
Do another paragraph. Thanks, Alice.
Okay. Once you fully realize that you cannot escape whatever remains,
Slowly, slowly.
once
There's
you
something.
fully realize that you cannot escape,
Did you do why? You didn't do that other one, did you? This is why. Did you do that one? The one before?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Give
she
it.
did.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
um, whatever remains that was brought to a stop within you must pass through for the self to be fully invisible or spacious
Invincible.
self
Oh no,
described earlier.
sorry. Forgive me. Sorry. Ignore
Invisible,
me, please.
invincible. That'd be good. Invincible.
I'm going to
What
mute my.
you once stopped and held in a holding pattern to return to later is the opposite of the holding within you are asked to
Mm-hmm.
do now. Because those things that were held in a holding pattern were based in fear, on fear. You feared them because you did not understand them and could not assign meaning to them. Being inexplicable, the holding pattern that you entered into with them was one of willful forgetting and escape. They were shelved like museum pieces, collected solidity within you, like stones thrown into a clear pool. They made ripples and then settled.
No.
Mm.
Mm. Lord.
Thanks, Alice. Samuel, you're next.
Can I ask about
Yeah.
this holding patterns, please?
Sure.
Oh,
Is that emotions?
Emotion, holding, feelings, thoughts.
Yeah.
And you hold a thought, that's also holding pattern.
Yeah, like I think I had a holding pattern with sickness,
Mm. Yes.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've had fear around it and non acceptance. So it's been stuck in there. It's waiting for an opportunity to look at it again, and, sort of thing. Until you don't sort of shove it aside. It shows here, like it stays in you, solid within you. Don't accept it. So,
Yeah.
like stones. Ooh.
Yes.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, people get gallstones. I mean,
yeah, I had them. Now I
Sorry.
know why. Jesus.
Like gold.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, interesting. Like, because he's been talking about the
Stones, Ian,
spacious
yes.
self,
That makes
and
so much sense. Yeah.
yeah, he's been
Yeah.
talking about spacious self and solidity, and going past obstacles and all that kind of stuff. And here we are. This is how they
So that's how we make
become
ourselves solid,
solid.
by
You know.
not
Mm.
accepting things we don't like, which is, I guess, the judgment, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and again, also we don't question our belief system.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we'll just cut the gallbladder out here. You'll be right.
Well,
God,
yeah.
where did the stones go then?
Exactly. Your
It'll
brain.
just go
Oh,
somewhere else and appear in some other form. Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
Mhm.
yeah. But oh, I just love that analogy. That's so good. And I think, yes, that's the case with everything, isn't it, in the body?
It's
It
like that,
just,
the whole idea of tiny made idea. You remember that, guys?
I
Yeah.
hate that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always
but
hate
that
that.
happens daily. That's a daily bread. Tiny made ideas, constantly running the tiny made ideas
Yeah.
that are based on the original tiny made ideas. That's a constant. That's not something that happened once and now we are just here. It's a
Huh.
daily bread. Tiny made ideas. How many of you guys have tiny made ideas every single day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then we reject them, and then they become the stones. They become the foundation of our belief system.
Stone of rejection. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, and
But,
you think about stone, in the old days where they stoned people, it was the biggest form of rejection
oh,
there was. Throw something solid at them.
Yeah.
but I
Wow.
can also imagine with people who struggle like with weight, like that would be maybe the stones.
Also stiffness.
I think of I think of cancer.
Yeah.
I think it's probably
Yeah.
people's greatest fear is finding the solid lump inside them. It's like,
Mhm.
well,
Stone.
yeah, let's not do that, eh?
No, let's not.
Oh
No, we
my
have to
Lord.
make that feel. It really does make sense to do with healing, doesn't it? This
Yeah.
transparent thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing to see. It's just,
Mhm.
yes.
That's why it's so important, I feel, to really pay attention to not the body as such, but the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts, and just to
Mm.
be present with it and feel into it and give it the space to move. It's so important.
Yeah. Well, also
Yeah, and
notice,
really interesting what the next paragraph says, isn't it?
yes, but also notice one more thing. When you feel something next time, notice what was the thought that was just happening in your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah, because if you catch that,
Mhm.
you're gonna be surprised. Because then we are dealing with a feeling, but the feeling is the effect by then.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Feeling is not causal. Because you grab a thought and then you feel
Yeah.
something. You grab a thought and then you feel something. So
Yeah.
if you
I'll
feel
keep that in
something and you
mind.
go like, "Ooh, I'm feeling weird," go, "What did I just think?" You will clearly see that there is a thought, and it's that you will see it then as causal. You go like, "Oh my God, I was thinking this, and now I feel like this." And then you
Yeah.
begin
I
to see that you've chosen a thought that causes you pain.
Absolutely. That's a great
Wait,
reminder.
can I just read out? This was from last week, what we read last week.
Go.
Now we listen to feelings. Now we listen to feelings and understand what they have to say to us. Now we listen with a new ear, the ear of the heart. Now we recognize the thoughts that would censor our feelings, calling them selfish, uncaring,
Oh,
or judgmental. We examine, we realize it is our thoughts and not our feelings that are selfish, uncaring, or judgmental.
Wow.
We realize this because we realize the sacred space we have become. This is so cool. Like, it's so good to go over
Yeah.
again. It is the space of ease because thoughts are no longer allowed their rule. It's like
mm.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's stage
No,
12.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
And now he's going to talk about the pass through. Let's read about that because that's really the important
Yeah.
part of it.
mm.
Okay, go ahead, Samuel.
It's 14.8, right?
Yep.
The invisible or special self is the self through which pass through naturally occurs because there are no blocks or boundaries, no holding patterns, no mental interferences. Pass through was never about escape or rejection. Pass through is about releasing the particular while maintaining the relationship. It is what happens in oneness as opposed to the stopping and holding apart that occurred in separation. What the spacious self holds within is the relationship of all to all. Relationship is the invisible reality only expressed through form.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Only now, in your realization of your invisibility and spaciousness, do you look within and see the stones that settled in the clear pools.
Wow.
They are the specks of sand to the ocean. And yet we do not choose to keep them. Spaciousness is spaciousness. Invisibility is invisibility. We are no longer collectors, but gatherers. We hold within only what is real, and our realization of the reality of relationship. We accept our relationship to the unexplainable.
Mm.
Stop
Go,
there.
go on.
One more.
Yes, thank you.
All are doing here is accepting your relationship to uh, the unexplainable. Acceptance is the creator of invisibility, the creator of the spacious self.
Mm-hmm.
God has been described as the all-knowing, for God is the relationship. Relationship is the known. The unknown, like unexplainable, becomes known through the relationship of acceptance. Acceptance of your relationship with unknown is the only way to arrive at acceptance of your relationship with your means of coming to know.
Wow.
Your acceptance of these words is a form of acceptance of the unknown as such a means of coming to know. These words are only one means, which is why this is called a dialogue. Realize now that this is but one voice of the many. You have entered into the dialogue with the many as well as the one. This dialogue is going on all around you. Have you been listening to but one voice, or have you begun to hear the one voice in the many?
Mm.
Did I just finish this?
Yes.
You must now own this dialogue. Own it as your own, the power that is yours. This one voice of the many will continue to point the way for only a short time longer. Thus, the voice of the many must be heard as the voice of the one. You are not on this mountaintop alone. Can you not hear your own voice? Can you not hear the voices of the many who join us here? Entering the dialogue is the means of sustaining the one voice within the many, the means of hearing your access to unity, the manifestation in form of the healed and whole, and thus spacious self.
Beautiful. Mhm. What profound sentences in the 14.2, yeah? All that causes fear is rejection of feelings.
Mm.
All that causes loneliness is rejection of feelings. All that causes violence is rejection of feelings.
Yeah.
What is rejected from the self becomes separate, and in the separation, willfully forgotten. Wow.
Quite complex how it all works, isn't it?
Yes.
What is ejected from the self? So he's saying what you throw it out, it's thrown out from the self,
Mhm.
becomes separate, and in the separation, willfully forgotten.
I just get a picture of one of those ejection seats, you know, you press the button.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
Well,
Great
it's
Northern
essentially
Show.
what we're doing, isn't it? Like, oh, I don't
yeah.
want this.
Cool.
Throw it right out there. It's not me. It's somewhere else.
It's a good analogy, Kim.
Oh, yes.
Me.
Except somehow it sneaks back in as a stone.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Mm.
Oh, I'm going to start loving those stones, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, oh.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Healing.
Thank you, Donna. It's lovely to see you all. Seeing you soon. Remember, tomorrow we have we'll have the Urantia book reading as well.
Yeah, did that happen last week, Kevin?
It didn't.
No, it was just me and Anthony. We just had a chat.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw there were not going to be many people there.
They got together
Hi,
and
Andy.
gossiped all the Holly people. Just kidding. Beautiful guy.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go because I'm quite away with it now.
Beautiful. See you guys very
Yeah.
soon.
See
Lovely.
you.
Lots of love to you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah.